welcome to the very first Stories
Hmm.
from the Summit, right? You guys are at a summit. I know that from the summit, you see other summits, so you may not feel like you're at this summit. No one ever does, side note. But the first question really is like, give us your quick hit backstory. Like, how did you decide to get into this crazy journey of opening your own Apogee school? And what's the backstory? What had you doing all of this?
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for having us. It's actually an honor for us. We were just talking about it earlier about how cool it is. Just like you said, even when you're working diligently every day, sometimes to not zoom out and see what you have created and what impact you're making, it really, it is nice sometimes for someone else to say, "Hey, I think you guys are doing a great job," even though when you're at the grindstone every day, you're covered in dirt and muck and coming home tired and beat up, and it feels really good sometimes to get some recognition too. So that's been great for us and just for as the team in general. But so thank you for that. But answering your question a little more directly, how this whole thing started, truthfully. My oldest son is in the age where he was going to start kindergarten age, and we decided, oh, especially during COVID, like public school is not an option for us. So, we had always followed the Cedar Park campus and thought, gosh, dang, if we could just uproot our whole lives and move to the Austin area, this may be an option. Which sounds crazy, but we do crazy things for our kids. So, and then the affiliate program opened, and actually, without even asking my wife, I'm like typing it, like furiously typing in my information to get more. And I think I joined a few Zoom calls before I even mentioned it to my wife. Like, babe, I have this crazy idea. Because we don't know what we're doing for school, and my wife and I are a little backstory on us. We're business owners, so we have a little experience in some business ownership, and said maybe we should start a school. And we totally dove into the affiliate program. Everything seemed to line up exactly with what our vision was for education. In that process, Tammy and her husband and son were actually doing the same exact thing as us before we even knew each other. We ended up meeting just through some corporate link up, basically saying there's too many applicants in your area. Y'all need to figure out who's going to work and who's not together. So we met, and even in the first meeting, I remember Tammy basically saying, "Look, I've been in education for 20 some odd years. I know how to do the school part, but I do not know how to run a business." And I mean, instantly the puzzle pieces just snapped together perfectly. So that was amazing. We had a similar vision for ethics and morals and how we envisioned the school going. And then as we progressed, we found a location, which we could do a whole nother podcast on just the turmoil that went along with that. But long story short, we had a contract with a different church for about 3 months, and they kind of pulled the wool out from us.
Yep.
Apparently, they're not. They liked everything we talked about, but then when they saw some of the like corporate videos, they said, "Well, you guys talk an awful lot about freedom and an awful lot about support of the military and all these other things." We're like, "Yeah, that's the point." And they said, "Well, we can't support a school that does that," and blah blah blah. So we went from high to the bottom of the valley in one day. And that was that was almost a year ago exactly today. Tammy and I talked about it, and at the time, Robin was Robin is our campus director. Tammy is our education director. They put on their freaking work boots and they went door knocking for like 7 days because at the time Tammy was working in public school, so she had spring break off, and they went door knocking on every church, every building, every business, and just and
Did.
and
We
and
did.
and God totally put us in this position to make an arrangement with this school. They have a very similar view on culture, and they have a view of the world that's similar to ours. And it just was a great fit. They're very supportive of the school. And then Robin, who was just a teacher, she ended up buying into some of the ownership of the business as well. So, man, truthfully, this whole process has been a battle, but it has been so fruitful. And it's been an adventure. It's one of those things when you look back, you don't remember all the hard, grimy times until we start talking about it like this. I heard on a podcast lately, it's like that childbirth process. It's like 9 months of carrying the baby, and then all of the pain that goes along with the childbirth. And a week later, you're holding this tiny little miracle, and you're like, maybe we should do this again. And
Right.
so
So get
it's
that.
that's really the becoming of the school, how we came to where we're at now. But like I said, that could be an entire hour long podcast on its own, especially if you let me talk for too long.
I love it though, man. And I feel again like you're talking about the birthing process of a campus that is impacting so many people, and you're talking to another human who has done this process a number of times too. So you're talking to one parent to another parent, right?
Yeah.
And only those parents are like, dude, I get it. I get it. Like I so understand. I so feel that. Right? And then you want that so badly for so many other parents. You want that so badly there too, and you want people where that and I know I'm hijacking because I know we have a couple other questions. I know Kevin that you want to get answers to, but dude, I
No, no,
can't.
no, no. This is what this is all
Okay,
about, man. This is
like
this is about a conversation
oh,
that we may never get to the second question, and I'm okay with that.
yeah, so am I. So it's like during those immediate, okay, you got the high, you got the high, you got the immediate valley. Is there a way for you to even articulate why at that turning point you all went inwards and went, cool, time to go start knocking on doors? Is there a way to even articulate the why behind that? Because your story is not different than the other 100 campuses. What's different is that some of them will go, oh, maybe this isn't meant to be, versus, nope, here's what we do next. Why?
So
Well,
if you want, oh, go ahead, Tyler. You
yeah,
want to answer that?
No, 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 no. Go
yeah,
ahead. You
go
go
Tammy,
ahead. You
go.
you you took the mic.
Sure,
Take the
Tammy.
No,
mic,
Tammy's
Tammy. Don't
Tammy's the
don't
quiet
back
one,
off
so
the
if
well,
she's
mic.
gonna
it's
talk,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Miss
let her
Sereno,
roll.
this is you.
it's that whole spirit of who we are as Apogee. That's why we tell our kids, I am Apogee, because that is, what does that mean? So in situations like what you're talking about, you can either cower or you can either second guess the direction that you've been put on, the journey you've been put on, or you can get mad and go, oh, okay, and you can lean in harder. And that's what I did. I said enough. I no. I'm gonna pound the pavement, and I knew Robin was already in with us. It's just she has two other jobs, and right this year till she finishes, so she's here as much as she could. I was like, you got to take off, you got to go with me. We're gonna hit every single door, because I'm not gonna take no and quit for an answer. And so that it was the spirit of it. It was the spirit of Apogee. It was the spirit of what motivates us to do what we're doing. So if that answers.
And I
Oh
think
man, that
the
is.
I think the vision, knowing that this is just bigger than us, right? Knowing that, well, this is my problem. Oh, this sucks for me. Like, I remember when I got the phone call from the guy at the church, and weirdly enough, when he called me at like 7:58 in the morning, I looked at the phone and I'm like, that's not good, you know?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
and and is I was in this like self pity moment for about 30 minutes after I went and I hugged my wife, and I was like, gosh, dang it, we were so close. Maybe this isn't going to work. And my wife
Mhm.
even said, she's like, it's not. This isn't the end. Like, just go find another
Mhm.
building. And
Mhm.
but I think
Mhm.
the push is because we know it's not just about us, right? We know it's about
Mhm.
the kids, the families, the community, the education. This entire package of influence, we'll call it, affects more than just
Mhm.
me and my silly little building contract I had. Big deal. Like, there's
Yeah,
tons of buildings, there's tons of places, there are
yeah,
tons of options. So
yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
That is the answer. It is that tied to a purpose of actually serving and leading. It is that. And I think it's those moments where you see, am I really tied to the purpose of serving and leading, or has this really just been about me?
Right.
And wanting whatever that one little string is for myself, versus, no, this is a mission that we're on. Those are the defining moments on that, man. I love
So
I love that so much. Go ahead, Kev.
can I ask Robin?
Yeah.
right? Because it is so common in I don't know what I thought when we first started. I don't know what I thought would happen, who would affiliate, who wouldn't. A very common story though is we're going to bootstrap this, and Robin has three jobs now until we make this happen. Like this is I don't know if I what I thought would happen, that people just had millions of dollars in their pockets, but it's real people saying, no, I want to make a difference. It doesn't matter if I can make a difference or not. I'm going to. It's like, what inspired you, Robin, to do this? I mean, that's a tremendous load. I mean, that's the level of load that you hear, single mothers taking care of their kids because, dad took off, but these aren't even your kids. So please tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I know. My psychiatry bill, I'm telling you. No,
Oh, I
you
love you,
know,
Robin.
I have such a passion for education. Education has been part of my life forever. And when Tammy had started talking to me about this program 2 years ago, I knew I needed to be a part of it. And so I didn't know what degree I wanted to be a part of it. I knew for sure I would teach because my love is of teaching. And so I I said, well, let me commit just to teaching this year. But then as I got involved with this, I knew that I could contribute on such a greater level. And so I just, then I, a much greater level, a much greater level. So everything I do is at 100%. And so I just wanted to be involved at every level, whether it be doing more administrative work, whether it be helping with the kids every day, whatever it was. And so I am in this 110%. There is not a core value that I don't believe in with Apogee, not a single one that I don't support 1,000%. And so I am over the top excited.
I
I
want to hug
have
you.
this one room schoolhouse mentality that I can get kids from 4 to 18 in one room and teach them at the same
Mhm.
time, and just the love of learning that I have. I have always been instilled with that love of learning. I'm a lifelong
Mm.
So you mentioned the code, right? We live by a code at Apogee, right? And it's not a secret code. It's not something we even invented. It's the Bushido code. We live by integrity, bravery,
right.
compassion, politeness, honesty, honor, loyalty, right?
Yes.
If you had to pick one of those that's been your anchor, and I want to hear this from each of you,
Mm.
one of those core values, one of the pieces of the code that's been your anchor through this process, what would you say it is?
Mine personally
Mm.
is integrity, because that is something in the business world that at the end of the day, that's all I have is my personal integrity. And I think that of everything that I do, I can be measured by my personal integrity. And so when I think about, uh, I cannot ever compromise my personal integrity. And so when we look at everything that we do with our students and our teachers, we have to look out for everybody in our classrooms too. And so we've had to make some really tough decisions this year, both with letting teachers, we had to let a teacher go this year. We had to let a student go this year. And we are not going to compromise on the integrity of our program here. And so, because I don't know what is that Star Trek term? The
To
the one is
I don't
the
know, Toy Story comes to my mind. Infinity and Beyond. I can't go past
no, but
that.
there was one. The needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many.
Oh, that's
And
way more mature.
yeah, I know, and I'm not even a Star Trek freak. But the thing is, we really do consider the needs of the many,
Mhm.
and so some tough calls. Finding the building was just one of the tough calls we've had to make this year.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
had to make tough calls, but our integrity was never ever compromised. So that would be mine.
Yeah.
Tammy?
I love it.
Mine would be bravery, because there's been moments where I feel like Moses talking to God, going, "Are you sure you got this right?" "I don't know, Lord," because you get beat up. You're in the kitchen, so you don't see what it
Mhm.
looks like on the outside in the dining room. So it can get very, and it's my first time to be a part of owning a business, and where everything falls on
on you. It's been kind of it has been a real journey. So bravery is it, because I just leaned into doing the hard things when something was hard. I just tried harder. Not to overuse that
Mhm.
word, but bravery in being flexible, bravery in self-awareness, um, bravery in having to make hard decisions for the betterment of our community and our culture that we're creating. And we're not creating it for a self-serving reasons. We're creating it because for the true love and belief, like went back to what Matt was saying a while ago, is the purpose. You've got to have that
Mhm.
core that drives you no matter what. And bravery, I think, is a way to describe that for me.
Yeah, for me,
Okay.
honesty was kind of a slam dunk for me. As an entrepreneur, I'm always looking. I'm involved in a number of different businesses, and uh, I've been doing this for it just in entrepreneurship for about 10 years. And man, having learned some lessons the very hard and expensive way because of the dishonesty of some other people and the naivete of myself. Yeah, I mean, honesty, again, all of these things are incredibly important. Each one of these is a pillar to our entire program. But, a big thing that I do on campus is I'm always looking for areas of growth, whether it's growth in students, growth in staff, growth in the leadership team, growth in a second campus, growth. Where can we grow? How can we grow? And the basis of that is an honest assessment and like being honest with each other, being honest with the leadership team, being honest with Apogee corporate, being honest with the staff and the families. And if I tell you some rose-colored version of a story, then we kind of have skewed expectations of what's going to happen next, right? So if I say, oh yeah, the school's going just great and we have a gazillion dollars in the bank, but that's not true, then we're all on this
Mm.
disjointed page of different expectations. Or if the same thing's true for the families. If we say little Johnny's
Mhm.
doing amazing in class and he's not, and then 2 months later little Johnny still can't read, his parents are like, well, you said he was doing awesome. So I think that honesty, a lot of the values, for me, boil down to being honest, whether that's honest with yourself in personal growth,
Yep.
honest with the leadership team in business growth, honest with families in personal growth, with families in school and academics and education. So honesty was an easy one for me.
You know what I really like, man? The way all three of you laid that out, and it's all through really what you just laid out was the power of a vision and of direction as viewed through this lens. And I'm writing notes on just why you're picking what you're picking too. And, hearing Robin talking about integrity and having that be the core, like, look, my belief is this, but we're going to have to make hard decisions in the process of this, right? What does that allow you to do? Well, it allows you, especially as you're launching something like this, you're taking on something so big. She's going to go to sleep at night and she's going to be okay. Are there things that are going to be running through her head like, oh, that was really hard to let them go? Of course. But at the end of the day, she's not wrestling with herself
Right.
on, are you showing up the right way? It's like, hey, I at least was like, I stayed true to my integrity and made this call, right? And then talking about, Tammy talking about bravery and using that example of Moses, and like, man, just that picture right there is like, I go back to that example so often where it was like the bravery that it takes to lead so many people out of slavery. And the fact that, you know what, you got God right there with you for a while. And some of those people who've been let out of slavery are just like, his voice is too loud. Hey, Moses, I know you're the leader. I kind of want to kill you, right? Like, it's then who the heck are we then? Of course that's going to happen to us. Of course. But it allows us to continue to be brave and continue to step into the day to day. So we've got our integrity, the bravery of going day to day. And then, Doc leading out that the honesty part there and how you tie that into expectations. And it gives us a realistic expectation of, okay, what's next? Now I can sleep well. I'm going to be brave even through all this kind of stuff. And I can look at a realistic expectation of what's next, the good and the bad. And you guys are laying out that whole journey right there through that too, man. And I really, really like that. When we're talking expectations, and Kev, I know I'm hijacking again, but I don't care. When we're talking expectations there, one of the things you guys said early on that you pointed out that I don't even know if you know the genius of what you pointed out was taking a look at, hey, I've got somebody over here who really knows business, got somebody over here who really knows education. Every once in a while, you've got somebody that embodies both, and that's great. Is that always the case? No. So she's pointing to Robin, right? So yeah, that's awesome. Is that always the case? No, it's not. Sometimes you need to figure out, okay, I'm really, really strong here, and I'm going to lean on the network for the other part, right? Like I'm a really strong educator. I'm going to need to learn this business side, or I'm a really strong entrepreneur, but I've got to learn the education piece of this and how to articulate these things and lead others in this way. I'm going to take the Socratic mind here, and I'm gonna ask you guys to pick. There's no wrong answer. Somebody listening to this who's maybe on one side or the other, is it more important to be a good entrepreneur and learn the pedagogy of it all? Or is it more important
For the
to be an
record, for
educator?
everyone who doesn't know what pedagogy means, like me for the last 2 years, and I
Sorry.
finally think I figured
Yeah.
it out. Pedagogy means how to teach stuff.
How to teach
So I'll
stuff.
just bring us down to the
Sorry
how.
about
It's
that.
a very, very fancy way to say how to teach stuff. I just
Sorry
have to
about that.
break in
Yes.
case
I
anybody
knew
in our
that
audience
word.
is
Yeah.
as dumb
Yeah,
as I've
I
been.
knew
Thanks.
it.
Thanks,
I,
Kevin.
I
Sorry about
remembered
that.
I
So,
remembered asking what pedagogy means in like the very first Apogee meeting in the chat. I'm like, for the dummies in the chat, what does pedagogy
that
mean?
is so funny. I didn't remember that until you just said that.
The
That is so funny. Hey, all
education
right, let me
word
rephrase.
tested.
I
Is it
thought
important to be,
pedagogy was the
should
dragon
you
that
be good,
ruled the other dragons.
dude,
That's what
should
I
you
thought. I
be
was like,
good at business?
pedagogy is the top dragon.
Should you be good at business and learn how to teach stuff? Or is it more important to be good at teaching stuff and go learn the business stuff? There we go.
Oh,
What do you
Well,
think? No wrong
I'll
answer.
start. I'll start. I
okay.
personally think it is easier to be a better entrepreneur business owner. Well, one, this answer is a little bit biased because that's my strength,
Of
but
course.
my explanation is understanding the business side and the finances of how to make the school run creates a viable
Mhm.
business. And in doing so, you can, we all have some sort of background in education, right? Whether it's taking apart a bicycle or learning basic math, or so we have that idea. Whereas some people have no education in the entrepreneurship. And truthfully, I think learning entrepreneurship may take longer than learning how to educate. So that's my general opinion. But again, part of that is in total relation to the type of school that you envision, right? If you have a small 7-person micro school, the entrepreneurship side is going to be a lot less important. If you envision having 75 people campuses, the entrepreneur part is maybe going to be a little more important. So,
Copy. No,
what do
makes
y'all
sense.
think?
Uh,
All right, ladies, agree or
oh
disagree?
boy. Yeah, you're both sides. So. Both sides here. So I think that the harder part of this is understanding the educational side, and I have my bachelor's degree is in engineering. My master's hours are in education, and I have 20 plus years in corporate America. So that's my background. So
Mhm.
I will tell you, to me, the tougher side to learn and understand, I mean, really understand, is the education side, because
Mm.
kids learn so differently. That to really understand education, the new education, the way we really want to teach and to teach these kids, I think that is a tougher sell. Business, man, maybe it's just because I have a business brain. Business is simple. It's just a math problem to me. It literally is a math problem. But and I to me is kind of simple. You know,
Yeah.
I know that sounds cliche, but getting kids to learn and to figure out the way they learn is an art. It's a real
Mm.
art. And
every child learns differently. And as an educator, it is up to us to help them figure out the way they learn best. And that's where I love it. And I tutored for 20 years. And I just learned how to help children learn the best. And seeing that light bulb go off in their head is just my most amazing day. So, and I'm sorry, that was a long answer to a quick question.
No, that's a great
No,
answer.
but it's perfect because we have the either or, and now Tammy can come
Yeah.
and actually
Right.
solve the whole
So
puzzle.
yeah, this is the actual answer right here.
Well,
Yeah.
This is all
for me,
no
the
pressure,
education, of
Tammy.
course, I'm going to say, and only because I think that, education means more than just school building and public school.
That's
Because being a parent of 6, and a grandparent of 4, and I have 2 master's degrees, one in SPED and one in leadership. So all that experience. It's funny because you learn what not to do. You see what to me, it is more important to have that experience, I'll say, in place of the word education, to have that experience of better than business, because business I can learn, and I'm so blessed because I've had these two to walk me through it, and I'm still learning it, honestly. The taxes and the blata and all the things, because I'm not a math person. I can do quantitative and qualitative data because the developmental, that's multidisciplinary teams, that is what I ran. So I understand that when it comes to development of a child and how they learn, looking at the whole child, we've got to look at their emotional piece too, not just can they do math.
Mhm.
No, we need to know,
Mhm.
how do they, how is their soil, as I've heard Matt talk about before.
Mhm.
Um, how can they grow in poisoned soil? They can't. It needs to be, we need to
Mhm.
feed all of the pieces. So, to me, the
Mhm.
education part is the primary education experience. That piece is
Well, you
more
lose.
important.
You lose, Tyler. You lose. No,
That's all
that's
right.
I think no,
Hey,
this
hey, just because I lost this one doesn't mean I'm losing everything. I'm coming back for more.
that's right.
I'm,
I know
I'll
it's
Just
keep
He's a
fighting.
fighter.
oh,
He's a fighter.
He's definitely a
that's so funny.
fighter. He's a
I just want to point out that the two people sitting in the school voted education, the person sitting in an office voted
So
business.
funny. Yeah.
Just saying. I mean, just
I am actually at the school.
he's
I'm in a separate room
In a
from
different
them.
room. In a different
in
room.
the
Yes.
office. Yeah, like the business part,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
You guys are all, and I think you're both right. There is no right or that's a beautiful, it's a beautiful question because there is no right or wrong, and you guys can acknowledge the biases, and we can go down that rabbit hole forever. I love where you left off on that with the talking about, the talking about the soil, but you're talking about your experiences, leaning in, learning through experience. Because at the end of the day, while we all have our preferences on how we learn, and it is an art, I agree with Robin, it is an art to lead so many to tap into those factory settings. And as you're doing that yourself, you're getting punched in the face by all these other experiences that you're going through, and then you're having to help them as they're getting punched in the face. And then you're like, hey, by the way, I'm going to put you in front of this other right hand that's coming in, and they're getting like, so it is this battle, right? So but leaning into those Apogee principles, do you have anything that stands out of, like, you mentioned some earlier, having to let people go, having, the battle on finding a location, again, one of the hardest battles. It's great once it's done, but it's one of the hardest battles up front, right? Do you have any of these that you look back so far and go, okay, this was the battle right here that tested me the most, but when I leaned into these Apogee principles, that kind of pulled me out? Do you have any of these, like the battle that you like remember the most?
Yeah, we do. We have one. And this is
Yeah, I think the hardest thing for me personally was when we had to dismiss a student. Um,
Mm,
that was painful because it made because I'm so personally invested in every single
mm,
baby that comes here. They can be they can be a 14-year-old baby or a 4-year-old baby. For me, it's you get invested in them and their family, and so that was the hardest thing this year that I've had to do, because I felt I felt like a failure, to them and to their mom, but
yeah.
yeah, but it was a
So,
learning experience.
the leaning into when you've got to make that call, was it leaning into the code. I know we were talking about, Star Trek, Toy Story, however we want to put it, right? But we were talking, was it leaning into the code, leaning into the tribe, leaning into the network? Like what was it that you found yourself leaning more into to go, okay, as hard as that, because I
Bravery and
feel
honesty.
that.
Yes, it was. It was looking
Bravery
at
and honesty.
honesty and again integrity. We had to look out for the whole group. We had to look out for
Yeah.
the other students in that studio and make sure that we were looking at their well-being also, and how well
Mhm.
their learning environment was going to be. And so it
Mhm.
was, and we did everything we could.
It tore us all up.
It-
And I
it
mean,
was-
we even offered resource. That's one thing, and Tyler can speak to that, because we were like, while we have to separate, on a full-time basis, and we have to separate from being on campus, we don't want to give up on you, because,
Correct.
we don't believe that anybody's not worth some sort of help or redemption, or we know that there'll be a great story,
Right.
but we're just not equipped at this time.
Well, I
That's
think that's the key, right? Is sometimes we think, well, one of the beauties I think of an Apogee education, and what I've seen, I'm a parent, right? So I know that I'm also here, but I
You're an
brought my
apogee
kid to a drop-in day. Yeah, I'm an Apogee parent. Like I brought my kid to a drop-in day and said, hey, you're going to go here one day, see if you like it. And for the last 4 months, we've been driving 40 minutes every day because he just demanded to go to the school. He loved it. So I'm kind of an accidental Apogee parent because I thought we were too far. But here's what I love is it really is individualized to each kid, and Apogee also understands that hey, there's lots of different approaches. So there are schools that are fully Christian schools, and that's
Mhm.
what they're going to do. They're faith-based communities, and then there are schools that aren't. They're very secular, and that's how they run it. And then there are schools that are really tuned around jujitsu and that kind of like. What I love is that because of the micro school structure, you can have many solutions. And hey, you know what? You don't fit into our solution, but there is another solution down the road, down the street that maybe works for you. I think that's one of the beauties of what we're building is we're not building a standard system that works for everybody. And you have to enter here and take left at this pipe, and that's how you fall out at this. It really is, hey, here's an education customized to who you are, the affiliate running that school. Like this is not education.
Yeah.
This is Apogee Gulf Coast and exactly what we do.
Yeah, it speaks to the heart of these guys too. That's it is one of the hardest things. It's any owner. It's going to be it's going to be the hardest thing you face is having to let go because you genuinely care about these people. You genuinely love these young people. You genuinely care about the family. But man, I tell you, that is another piece of that integrity thing where you can at least sleep at night. Where imagine if every relationship you had prior to your spouse, it was like, okay, look, we're not aligned. I've got my left and right boundaries. This isn't working, so we are going to have to break it off. But I've got the guy for you. Like let me introduce you to because the way he operates, it makes a whole lot of sense. And like there's just like and it is nice to be able to do that. But more importantly, it's just that it speaks to the heart of who you are that you want to do that. And you're intentional around that. We can't fix everything, be one to every, but when we can point somebody in the right direction, that matters. So good on you guys.
And we talk.
Could I ask a question? Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Tyler.
no,
Go
and I was
ahead,
just
man.
gonna on highlighting that is we talk a lot about like our authenticity of who we are and what our campus does and what our campus stands for. And a lot of affiliates, and it was even one of my worries when we first started in this journey of the vision for Apogee growing and multiplying. I'm like, man, but what if there's 10 campuses right around where we're at? And I kind of was worried about that, but now that we've developed our own authentic system of education, there's a school where Coach Kev takes his kids. It's only 40 minutes away, and it might even be closer than that. It might be 30 minutes away. They do an amazing job. I'm not like dunking on them in any way, but they run a totally different school than we do. They have different beliefs. We have different beliefs. And truthfully, when we look at the students and families that may join these programs, we're not even looking for the quote unquote same customer most times. There's families that align more with our vision of education and families that align more with their vision of education. And it's like you said, we
Mm,
can't be the one-stop shop for all students ever in the universe, right? You have to be true to what you do, like really hunker down into what your beliefs are and what type of lane you want to be in. And then it will naturally just attract those families that fit that mold. So I think
really
that's one
good.
of the things we do really well here.
Really good. Right
Let
back.
me ask you a question. What has been the value of the Apogee network? So, I mean, I think we all know the value of Matt Beaudreau and kind of the educational mind and frame, and just, I mean, just truly the scholar and the warrior, like truly in a real sense, right? I know the value of Matt, so we don't need Matt's bio. But what has been the value of the network? Because I think a lot of people don't realize when you join Apogee, it's not that you get access to Matt, you get access to a network of over 100 schools, and everyone is giving in and out, right? When people figure things out, they pitch in and they take out. What's been the biggest takeaways you've had or from that network?
Yeah, I think one of the things we had just spoken about 30 minutes ago is just the openness of all the other campuses to share a lot of things and experiences, and whether it's their handbook or their field trip waiver or whatever. We don't have to go reinvent the wheel with every new form that we have. And thank goodness we
Mm,
have some long-standing, experienced educators, whether it's Matt or the Bjorkmans or whoever it is, and they're not like tight to the vest with all their stuff. They're like, oh, you need a handbook? What's your email? I'll send it to you today. Oh, you need this finances contract? Cool, it's in your inbox. So I think that's something that's been really great for us. Is just the resources that we have with 100 people doing 100 different things, but also looking for a lot of the same solutions. Is that we have this network of people that many of us have similar questions, looking for similar answers. And so, just access to information has been super important for me,
that's really
and I can probably speak for Tammy and Robin as well.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I love the Bjorkmans so much. I do,
me
and I
too.
would go to their meetings, and they would say. I remember one time, he said that, oh, we at one point we had to let a teacher go, and we lost so many kids. So many families went with them, and I thought, wow, that would stink. I promise you, it wasn't a month later that
The same
we
thing
ran
happened.
into the same thing, and I was like, what?
Hmm.
They're the just to know that somebody's been through it, it
Hmm.
also makes you feel encouraged. So, and you need
Hmm.
that, because like you said earlier, Matt, when we're getting punched constantly with new things, and we're not only just having, for first year, we're not just having to unschool some kids, um,
Yeah.
those coming from public school, but unschool parents,
Parents.
Yeah.
and unschool ourselves,
Hmm.
because there are
Yeah.
some ideas that I didn't even realize. Oh, I didn't realize it doesn't have to be that way in this particular
Right.
area. So
Right.
learning that, yeah, it's been great. The
Totally.
network's been great.
It's such
Yep.
That's such a powerful, like, that is such a powerful thing. And again, same. I remember having a seasoned educator telling me the first time we were at same sort of thing. We literally had one family that were like, we don't think this is gonna work, and they took half. It was our second year of having high school altogether. They took half of the high school students with
Oh,
them. That was a large chunk.
Oh,
And so we went, oh, geez. And I had these other educators who went, okay, why go back to the why by that family? Why was that not a fit? We mapped that out and then, okay, cool. All that did was let you know that these other people weren't a fit too. Watch what happens when you prune the tree. Watch how it grows more fruit afterwards.
That's right.
And the next thing we know, not only did we get back to the same numbers within a year that we were there, we had to put a high school at another campus as well
yeah,
because we had pruned the right way,
yes,
and so
Right.
you see that, and it's like you said, it's encouraging to know other people have seen it too, and they're like, hey, just hold on, keep doing what you're doing. This matters. That it's such a different deal of not only you're not holding things tight to your chest, you're not competing with another campus, you are helping the mission grow by helping other people do that right thing. So powerful, man.
I agree.
Go ahead, Kev.
I agree.
No, go ahead, Robin. I'd
No,
love to hear what you're about to say.
I love what he was just saying, because this year we have terminated a teacher, terminated a student,
Mhm.
and we've terminated our parents. And it's these are things that you don't expect your first year out, but
Mhm.
we didn't shy away from it either.
Mhm.
We hit it head on, knowing that this is the right thing to do for our campus and our other
Mhm.
families. And I'm proud of our team. I'm proud of Tyler,
Mhm.
Tammy, and myself that we were not afraid of it. It was
Mhm.
hard, but we did it together and we learned from it and we're moving forward from it.
That's right.
And I think it's so important to understand that you have then the support of lots of people who've been there, who've done similar things. And I want to understand, I know you're using the word terminated because you have a 20-year business
I was going to say
background, but
corporate.
what
I'm
does
sorry.
terminated
I'm
mean?
sorry. Using corporate language.
No, 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 no. It's okay. I don't. I just
That's
want to make sure
perfect.
no one knows you didn't come with a
Yeah.
shotgun on a motorbike. You didn't. But it's terminated because it's free to go and succeed somewhere else. Because this is what I'm learning watching the Apogee community. Because I started this journey telling Matt, if I have to pull my kid from public school to work with you, this isn't going to work. Like 30 days later, I remember calling my wife and saying, "We got to pull our kid right now." Like, the more I talk to these guys, like you can't unsee this stuff, right? But I started that way, and Matt said, "Hey, man, you're on your own journey. Figure out what works for you. That's not a requirement, right?" Here's what's fun though. Did we terminate a student? No, we released them to be successful somewhere else because
100%.
we can do anything. We can do anything, but we can't be everything. We can't be everything to everybody. That's one of the beauties of micro schools. Is it can be exactly what it is, but it's not going to be for everybody, and that's okay because it isn't for everybody, and it's not compulsive. It's for the people it works for, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
we had
Right.
that same idea when when Robin the Terminator Hannah helped us help,
Forever that's going to be it.
when no,
For sure.
when we let go of the teacher that we let go of, and in all accounts like a reasonable person, but just did not fit culture wise
Yep.
with the vision of the school and the community that we had. And we knew that when she left, we were going to lose we were going to lose 4 to 5 students with her when she left, and that was what we decided. But in the
Mhm.
conversation I had with her was, we want, just like we want our students to grow, we expect our staff to continue to grow as well. And it was very evident in the first 8 weeks that she was not in a position to grow or to continue to personally grow. So, and it sounds cliche, and it's one of those things when you have to let someone go, they're probably a little upset at you anyways. But we said, hey, this is not a place where you personally are going to have the opportunity to continue to grow. It's just the relationship is not there. You don't have the opportunity to continue to better yourself as an educator, as a person, mom, wife, whatever. Like I said, just like we want the students to grow, we expect the staff to
That's right.
continue to grow as well. And that was a barrier for her outside of just some of the reasons why she didn't work here. It was just a barrier to her personal growth being trapped in our program, because there's another program that she's going to be amazing at probably.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that kind of no BS point, like, hey, look, here's what it is. Doesn't have to be harsh. It just has to be honest. It goes back to honesty, right? It's
Yeah,
honest. It
correct.
goes back to that. So last one, because I know we have got to wrap in like 2 minutes here. So the last one, since we're ending on kind of look honest, no BS. So you've got somebody who's new to this, they're skeptical, they're nervous, that no BS advice to them about diving in. Your honest advice on diving into Apogee.
Yeah. Cutting right to the point, it's just going to be starting the school process. It's going to be way harder than you think. It's going to be hard. Finding families is going to be hard. Finding a building is going to be hard. You're going to find a building and then they're going to cut you loose, and you're going to find families and they're going to cut. I mean,
Yeah.
we had half a dozen families that religiously came to every event and came to every single thing and they supported us in every way, and it was amazing. And we thought they were shoo-ins, and then they didn't even enroll. It's like, you spent half of your summer with us and you didn't even enroll your kid in the program. Like, what in the? I was counting on them, and they were like, we'll just do this other thing last minute.
Yep.
But on the backside of how hard it is, it is equally as rewarding, right? I mean, when we come in here every single day, and I can speak for Tammy and Robin as well, when we come in here every single day and when we battle, right? Because that's what we're doing. You know, it may not feel like a battle in the classroom, but when we battle, whether it's on the entrepreneur side or the education side, whatever, that, I mean, just personally, that is such a rewarding thing. I mean, it's helpful that my son is here and I can see the growth that he's had in just since September. But the way that we get to personally impact kids and families far outweighs how hard all the other crap that you have to deal with is, because that's what it is. It's crap. There's a lot of crap that comes along with it. You have to eat a crap sandwich every day for lunch, and but it, but those, I mean, the problems don't get easier. You just get stronger, right? So the crap sandwich doesn't taste nearly as bad, 7 months in, and it's the
That's
same.
right.
The crap sandwiches are served a little differently, but uh, but you become immune to that, and frankly, that's part of the process, and it's that way in a lot of businesses, I think. But it's hard. It is hard, but the reward of it, it far outweighs the challenge and the obstacles.
Hey, Coach Kev, can I say something real fast to the affiliates that are coming in? Because there's something that I feel really passionate about. Okay.
Well, you don't need my
Okay.
permission at all. Yes, you have the
Because
take
if
the
I was
platform.
telling the
Yes.
affiliates, in being a diagnostician, a lot of the times I talk about kids. I see kids who have specific needs and stuff in school, and I would encourage affiliates not to look too hard for the what I call the salt and pepper kids. You only have salt and pepper, but look for the cumins and the paprikas. Look for the ones that maybe just need a little something. Don't be don't see them really as weird, but more as an opportunity to develop them. Their ADHD is a blanket that's thrown wide, and there are some kids who have attention issues. But you know what? In the right place, you can help develop that. There's some strong-willed, and they will. But with the right guidance and guardrails and consistency and support, and with the family giving them support, they can be reached too. I would just say don't look for the cookie cutter kiddos, but love if there's potential. Look for the potential in these babies,
So
and
good.
That's
so
right.
So
that's
good.
something I want people to think of.
I'm gonna start using some of that spice analogy too, because you just got my brain going a million different directions right there. You
Yeah.
guys, I am so, and I know we're coming up on time. You guys, I'm just grateful and I'm proud. That's it. Grateful and proud. I'm really just proud of you guys, the way you guys are leaning in and doing it, and just so grateful, not just for who you are and the work that you are doing, for all of the lives that you are impacting and the lives that they're going to impact because you impacted theirs too. This is what it means to change bloodlines. So grateful.
And with that, we complete the first ever Stories from the Summit, Apogee Gulf Coast. Check them out. Really doing some amazing things. Even more important than that, amazing human beings getting kids back to default settings, letting them be their own kind of genius. And as the resident Cajun, I love the idea. There's only so much you can do with salt and pepper. Please encourage the cayenne. Please encourage all of the other spices in your life and in education.